Okay, this is just going to be a quick follow-up video to the Asus AC87R setup. I'm actually going to cover the dashboard and admin panel today. It's similar to the AC87U, so we're going to see a lot of things there that are recognizable, but I wanted to just cover it anyway to cover some interesting aspects. I'm actually going to go to my admin panel here. Ordinarily it asks you to log in. I just did that, so it remembers that. I'm going to talk about why I have HTTPS up here in the 8443. The quick internet setup is the way you want to go initially. When I loaded this up here, you notice it's got your SSID names up here. It's got the latest firmware version. This is actually what Asus is saying is the final release version of this. If I click on that, it shows me I can check for the latest version right here. We're expecting a new firmware version this coming week. The router release is July 21st, so to speak. It's not actually a confirmed date. I guess all the Asus has actually said was the end of July, so we'll have to see if that actually happens on the 21st. But that's when Best Buys were told to release it, so we'll see what happens. Currently, this is the latest firmware version. As far as stability goes, we've been on it for 3 days now, and it's been fairly stable. We haven't noticed any dropped Wi-Fi. I'll show you how many devices we have here in a second, but we have quite a few devices connected. Let me go back to network map, which is the home page, index.asp. Right, automatically it pulls up your WAN IP and your DDNS, which is, they give you a name at asuscom.com. You can create that username. That'll get you, that's your dynamic DNS, so to speak, for this IP address. It's nice that you have dynamic DNS. I previously had to purchase one that I've been paying for, and I'm going to continue to pay for it just because it's a little nicer than this URL, but it is nice for those that don't want to pay for that to have their own options here. So the network map comes down and it tells you you're secure behind a WPA2 personal security network, and then there's two branches off here. You have your USB and your clients connected. Over here to the right you have your system status, where you have your 2.4 gigahertz network, shows you the LAN IP, the MAC address, and then the 2.4 gigahertz. This is the same for these, same MAC address there. And then you have the 5 gigahertz is the same deal. The LAN MAC address is actually the LAN address of the 2.4 gigahertz, if you notice that. And it's the same here, but the wireless 5 gigahertz is a separate radio, so it does have a different MAC address there. From here you can actually choose different authentication methods. You can choose WPA2 auto personal is where you can choose TKIP if you want that, or you can just not have a password if you want to have an open system if you live in the middle of nowhere and don't care about people stealing your internet. You can change the password right here and just click apply. I'm not going to do that. And then status shows you your CPU usage. Now I'm currently using, it is always high when I first click on it, and then it drops back down. I'm not sure if that's just a bug in the software. It doesn't seem that it would be using that much every time I click status, but it does ride fairly heavy when I'm downloading a lot of stuff between different devices and whatnot. It does have a total of about, looks like 512 megs of RAM, which is a decent amount, I would say, for a router like this. It runs fairly cool. I did not own the AC87U. I owned the R7000, the competitor, but I heard that it runs a lot cooler than the AC87U. I guess 68U ran hot sometimes. Up here you've got your guest network, which I'll go to that in a second. That's also over here. You've got the internet status, which is connected, and USB port. And I don't have a printer connected, but that's where you'd see a printer if you had one. So yeah, the home page is actually fairly nice. As far as routers go, I'm a lot happier with this than I was with even Netgears, and Apple doesn't even really let you do anything with the airport utilities, so this is a lot nicer than some of the other ones I played with. Notice down here at the bottom you have your help and support, your manual, you can just click on that right there, and your utility. Now it looks like, if you look at the URL in the corner, it looks like they have a predefined folder hierarchy for their devices, which is smart because then they can put these URLs in before they ship. However, when you click on that, you get a page error right now because the device actually is not released yet, and so they don't have anything up on Asus's website about it. So for the time being, I'm sure that will change as soon as it releases on Monday or sometime this week. But for the time being, you can click on either one of these and you don't get anything. It'd be kind of nice to see those go live here in the next few days. You can actually search the FAQ from here. Haven't found that to be too helpful, but it is nice to have something right here from the admin panel. Now, guest network, if you click on guest network, it shows you internet connection for guests, but restricted access to your intranet. Essentially, this is going to lock people out from accessing the rest of your network. I live in an area where we have enough space between the neighbors that they really wouldn't get much out of connecting to our guest network. So what I've done is I've opened a public open system network with no time limit. Time remaining means if you turn this on, you can say, let's say you're going to have a party, you want to turn it on for 4 hours. You can turn that on for 4 hours, and at the end of the 4 hours, it automatically turns off. So that's pretty cool. I haven't seen that feature on some of the other systems I played with. What it does not have, or what I cannot seem to find in it, it may have it and I just don't know about it. I can't seem to figure out how to throttle the guest network. I would love to say guest network only gets, this much so-and-so, etc., and so forth. Only gets, 50 megabit per second out of my 1000 megabit per second, etc. Now, I wouldn't, obviously, I'd give them like 1 megabit, but I'd like to have that option. And I've heard you can do it under quality of service, which we'll get to, but for right now, it seems that's a little more difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel here. But yeah, when you turn this on, you can actually turn on 3 different guest networks. I can enable Asus Guest 2, or I can have this one be passworded if I wanted to have, let's say, a network that I allowed people to access the internet on, but I didn't want to give out my main password, and I only wanted it to be up while I was having a LAN session or whatever, a gaming session. I could turn this on for 2 hours, and then it would automatically turn itself off, and that's kind of nice. You can also turn on 3 separate guest networks for the 5 gigahertz as well. Now, I'm not doing that just because a lot of devices, I don't know what guests are going to have 5 gigahertz and what won't. In today's world, probably most will, but I'd rather you just use the 2.4 because I don't want them messing with the 5 gigahertz channels anyway. Not that it would make a difference, I realize that, but just personal preference, I guess. AI protection, home protection with Trend Micro, which uses real-time network monitoring to detect malware, botnets, and other intrusions before it reaches your PC or device. This is kind of cool. I wouldn't use it just because I don't need Trend Micro to scan all my activity before it comes in. We have all Macs and a fairly secured firewall, so I'm not too worried about it. But if you click on Home Protection, you can turn on router security scan. It actually does a security audit on your router. This tells you, and it's kind of cool, infected devices. If you enable it, it will detect and block them. Now, some of these things are good. Port forwarding disabled. I do have port forwarding on, so it's going to have a problem with that, but the wireless encryption is enabled for the main networks. Default router login username and password changed. See, that's not true because I actually have changed the username and password, so I'm not sure if that's just a bug. I am definitely using, well, I have the same admin, but I'm using a different password, so a strongly secure one, so I'm not sure why that still says no, but I'm going to hit close. It is cool that you can actually click secure your router right from here, and it can go through and change some of these things. Malicious blocking, attempts to limit access contents with spyware, etc., and so forth. I turn these off just because it's another overhead on the router. I don't want to have to worry about it packet scanning more than it already has to and doing more things. I'd rather get the latency reduced as much as possible and just get to my traffic as quickly as I can. So, but if you don't care about that and you'd like to be more secure and don't care about speed, you could turn all this stuff on and that'd be great. And when I say speed, it really doesn't affect it that badly, and we'll demonstrate that here in a second. Parental controls, you can actually enable web apps and filters and whatnot and all that good stuff. That's how that works. So, adaptive quality of service. This is one of the newer features, from my understanding, to the 87U/R series. I did not have the 68. Some people say the 68 had it. I don't know. But this is a fairly neat thing here. Going down here, you can see I have all of my devices. You can just scroll down here. It took me a second to figure this out because I didn't have the manual, because the manual was not available. But What you do is it actually shows you real-time download and upload on your network and what's using it, and you can actually drag the priority you'd like it to have and put it on the device. So let's say I want this Grandstream phone, my IP phone, to have highest priority. I just drag highest to that, and now it's red. I hit apply. It goes through applying settings. Please wait 60, 80, 100. Nothing goes slower than turning on quality of service. I don't know why it takes over two minutes. It sits there 1% at a time. On a device that's this fast and this modern, I would not expect it to take that long just to turn on quality of service, but maybe there's several megabytes of files that has to change, so you never know. I have not determined, and this is probably just I haven't read enough into it, but I have not determined adaptive quality of service, whether this is off or on. You can turn apps analysis on, and I don't know what that is, but I'm guessing, well, it allows you to click device icon and shows all traffic by each device for detailed client monitor. Okay, so that gives you a little more breakdown into what each of your devices are doing. I turn that off because, again, it's an overhead. I'd rather not deal with it. I'll show you the difference with quality of service on and off. I'm going to do a speed test. Yeah, see, so I'm getting decent speeds right now. Don't know if this compares to the video I did the other day or not. It looks like it's pretty similar. I have the question raised whether you can get the full 1,000. I would suggest that it's not the router that's limiting the full 1,000. I believe that's just a limitation of the fiber and the channel that we're on. When I connect directly to the fiber port provided by, or the Ethernet port provided by our ISP, I can only get these same speeds. Actually, generally I can get about the same, than about 915 up. For some reason, this particular router only gets me about mid-80s, mid-800s rather, and I'm not sure why that is. I could not speak to that because this was direct out of the box that I was only getting 850 here. It seems there's a little overhead on the upload with this router that was not there on the Netgear and the Apple Airport Extreme. But that's okay. You know what? I'll live with it. We're looking at like what, a 1%, 2% overhead here, so it's not the end of the world to me. Even if you have a 10 megabit, and, you're getting 8.5 out of 10 on the upload, you're doing pretty good. So that's what I get currently. Let me go ahead and turn on quality of service, and just forgive me, I'm going to have to fast forward this part of the video, but this is what I was talking about. You actually select your upload bandwidth and download bandwidth. I'm going to be more accurate and just say upload is 925. Sorry, upload is 850. Download is 925. Quality of service type intelligent. If you click that, it said, oh, come on. Intelligent quality of service type supports you to modify apps category and priority based on the router stream. Quality of service type switching will only keep priority configuration for each client, versus traditional where you can just, enter the ports and whatnot and protocols. I'd rather have intelligent myself, so I'm going to turn that on and hit apply. This is the long road of okay, so once that finishes, you'll get this security certificate is not trusted. This is part of the security stuff, which I'll get to, but we'll talk about that in a second. So, quality of service is on. You can just actually drag and drop these. It's kind of cool. I like to have streaming media at the top, online chat and communications, VoIP, etc. And then all others down here, just chat and communication, web surfing, file transfer, which is funny because file transfer has its own category, but BitTorrent and stuff, I'd like to have below web surfing. Games, honestly, we don't do a lot of gaming, which I know is a tragedy for some of you, but I'm going to put games at the bottom. And web surfing above, file transfer, but below online chat and communication and streaming. So I'm going to hit apply there, and please do not take 20. Yeah, once you turn it on, applying stuff is a quick process. Complete. Bandwidth monitor, back to this here. I'm going to turn on the apps analysis. Again, a quick turn on once you have the actual quality of service on. Not a long process. So I should be able to dive into